Hey folks, how's it going? This is Joe here with palmettolandbuyers.com, and today I want to share 4 improvements that you can make before selling your mobile home here in South Carolina. Now, look, I want to start off by saying this video is going to be South Carolina specific, and one unique characteristic about South Carolina that's different from every other state is the amount of mobile homes that we actually have here in South Carolina. So mobile homes are a big deal. We have a lot of single wides, a lot of double wides. We have a lot of different years, but more and more you're seeing newer mobile homes, and mobile homes are going to be a nice go-to if you're looking for a bargain, because you can buy a single wide mobile home for 35, $40,000 brand new. And if you have land, which there's an abundance of land here in South Carolina, if you've got land and the land perks and you've put in a well, then you can put that mobile home and you could be in essentially in a brand new house for less than 55, $60,000, reasonably speaking. And if you can get a loan and you got a down payment, then you can get a really big double wide that, I mean, some of these houses, they're really modular homes. They're beautiful. And on the inside, they look modern, big closets, big kitchens, open layout, really gorgeous mobile homes that they're making nowadays. But let's say you've got an older mobile home, maybe from the 80s or the 90s, and you want to make some improvement because you're interested in selling that mobile home. Whether you're selling it with the land, we'll assume you're selling it with land for this video. But here are 4 improvements that you can make. Now, the first one is try and make it more energy efficient. I have a mobile home, it's a double wide in Colleton County out in Walterboro, right off 95. Really pretty double wide from the early 90s, good condition. I had to, when I first bought it, I made some repairs to it. There had been water that had gotten into the back, and so essentially the whole back wall of the house was very soft. And so I had to replace windows and replace the actual wall and put back the siding. But the house is great. It's like looks like new. I pressure washed it. It looked great. The problem was, and I hadn't owned a double wide before, but during the winter, the cost to heat up that mobile home or that double wide was extraordinary. I mean, I had $800 electric bill, $600 electric bill. It is super expensive if you don't have it properly set up, and if you don't have measures in place to ensure that it's energy efficient. So what I had to do was I insulated the ductwork underneath the house, and I made sure that that was working and that was all set up correctly, and that helped tremendously. I also went and I bought one of those programmable thermostats. Okay, these programmable thermostats allow you to set a specific range where you want the temperature. So I have at the low end, I have it so that if it hits 55 degrees or below, the heater kicks on, right? And at the same time, I have it if it gets above 78 degrees, then the AC, the cold unit turns on. And so you set these ranges, and while the house is in between these ranges, it's neither heating nor cooling. And so you're saving energy costs. So that would be my biggest recommendation. The easiest fix, because you can buy a programmable thermostat from Google, for example, for $100, and this stuff plugs right into your old thermostat, wherever your old thermostat was. The same wires. You slap in 2 batteries, and it's going to use the same wires. And then you just need an internet connection and a smartphone to download the app, and it will sync it up for you. So that I would recommend that, tremendously. Other things you can do is have trees around the house. So having trees during the summertime casts a shade on the house, and so it'd be less difficult to cool the house, right? Because it's going to be underneath the shade of a tree. Um, Another thing you can do is, you know, maybe you don't do electrical heating like I did, right? I did electrical and I regret it. I wish I would have spent the cost and done and done a gas heater. Okay, so or maybe you maybe you can install a gas a space heater. Those would work great too. I have those in one of my houses, and it heats up. I mean, it's in the living room, and if you let it run for a couple hours, it heats up the whole house. So gas is a lot less expensive here in South Carolina. In some counties, you have it to where the county provides the gas. Of course, they charge you, but it provides so it never runs out. You don't need to constantly be getting it filled out. But where I have my mobile home or my double wide in Walterboro, I have this humongous tank in the backyard, and I use that for the cooking. You know, for the cooking and for the space heater that I have in there, and that's going to help a lot during summer. You know that I mean, I'm sorry, during winter to keep it warm because that's where you're going to find a lot of your costs is during the winter time, the keeping it warm. If you have those electric heater AC systems, they cost a fortune to operate, okay? So number 1, if you want to make some improvements to your house so that or to your mobile home so you can get some additional money, this could be a good resort. Okay, a little bit tricky because you're gonna have to talk to folks that know, right? That know that the cost is there. If you talk to me about it and you say, hey, you know, I've done all these different things, and this house is actually much more energy efficient, well, then that's gonna be appealing to me. But if you would have asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said, you know what, I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't. It didn't compute to me. So it's a good selling point to the person that recognizes that it's a selling point. All right, number 2, tend to your yard. This is a big one. Okay, you want to have a nice yard. Don't have trash all over the place. And I hate that I got to say it, but it's not uncommon. I mean, I drive around the countryside all the time here in South Carolina, and there are some people that just have a lot of stuff, a lot of junk or collectibles. Maybe maybe they consider them collectibles, but they have all this trash. What I see as trash, I perceive it to be as trash on their yard. It's disgusting. Okay, and it's gonna be like it's not gonna be good for values. So you definitely need to clean up that yard. That would go a long way. Because if somebody's gonna buy the mobile home and also the land that comes with that mobile home, say you're selling it as a package deal, if you're not gonna throw out the trash, somebody has to, right? And time, it's either gonna be their time or they're gonna have to pay for somebody to do it if they don't want to do it on their time. So definitely, you're gonna want to tend to the yard. That's gonna do a lot for value. All right, number 3, paint or pressure wash. So that I when I bought my double wide in Walterboro, I bought a house in Waterloo, South Carolina. I mean, I'm buying properties. I mean, the house that I'm in right now, this is a really small 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom house on the river. And when I buy these houses, I'm usually buying them in a distressed condition, meaning that they're either been abandoned and I have to fix them up, but they're usually super dirty. Okay, so I would say before you just default to paint, you may want to consider pressure wash. Okay, and don't just pressure wash it yourself. I would say hire somebody because these folks that do these house cleanings, they have a chemical concoction that they mix up and shoot it at the house, and the grime just freaking falls off of the house, and then the chemical also is resistant to mold growth, so you won't have the same kind of mold that was on it before growing back on it. So I would say, you know, first thing, invest maybe 150, $200 and get your house washed properly. And then if there's some, you know, if there's like if they're like the shutters, right? I painted the shutters in this house. I've painted the shutters in all the houses that I bought, because the shutters, they just fade and they get kind of ugly. I would say then paint those, and you'd save yourself a lot of time, because painting's not super difficult, but it's very time consuming. And depending how big your house is and what you're painting, like if you're painting the exterior, the entire exterior, I mean, you're gonna be spending 5, 10 gallons of paint there, and that can get, 200, 300 bucks right there, plus the time that it takes you to paint it, unless you hire somebody. And if you hire somebody, it's gonna be $1,000, easy, easy. So paint, but first, before you paint, pressure wash. Hire somebody to wash your house, and then if you need to paint. Recommendation number three. All right, number four. This is gonna be your this is my most expensive tip. Would be to move it. So we all know that real estate is location dependent. We've heard it, right? Location, location, location. And so if you've got a nice double wide, let's say you got a brand new double wide, but you're in the hood, you're in a shitty neighborhood, you're in a not an appealing place, then it's going to be difficult to sell that property. It's going to be very challenging, because the value is not only in the house, a lot of the value is in the location. So I would recommend, if you've got a nice mobile home, if you got a crappy mobile home, it's not worth moving. But if you have a really nice mobile home, moving it to another location could could make you a ton of money. The move's going to cost you something. I think to move a single wide, they probably charge, I don't know, 80, 90 bucks a mile, conservatively speaking. Right? So 100 miles, you're talking some serious money. But if you're just moving it, 20 miles away, it's not a bad deal. It's really not a bad deal, especially if you can turn around and sell it 3x or 4x, because location, it is so important in real estate. You can buy a crappy house in a badass neighborhood and make a ton of money, but if you buy a badass house, or I'm sorry, if you buy a shitty house in a banging neighborhood, you can make a ton of money. But if you buy a really pretty house in a trashy neighborhood, forget about it. You're going to be stuck with it. Nobody's going to pay you what you want for it. Location is so important. So you got four tips. Okay. So just to recap, all right. The first one, make it energy efficient. You're going to save yourself money. And then when you sell it, you got a nice strong selling point to the person that knows, hey, I've taken these measures to make sure that in the long run, you're going to be saving money with this house, right? Versus the neighbor's house, or versus some other house that doesn't have these improvements. Number two, tend to the yard. Very, very important. You don't want a messy yard. That's just going to detract from value, and it's an easy clean. So if you're wanting to sell your place, just go out there, start picking up trash, start throwing shit away, because it's really going to impact the value of your property. All right, number three, paint. But before you paint, we want to pressure wash, or we want to wash the house, and we want to hire somebody to wash it the right way, using some chemicals that are really going to keep the grime and the dirt off of it. Don't go out and buy a pressure washer yourself. I'm telling you, you're going to wash it today, and by tomorrow, shit's going to grow back on it. All right, number four, the last one, right? And this is if you've got a really nice double wide in a really crappy neighborhood, move it. If you move it, you're gonna get way more money for your house, way more for the location. If you can buy some land, move it. You can, and guys, if and buying land doesn't have to be expensive. Go on Facebook Marketplace. Don't go to Lands of America or any of these websites. Don't Google land, and don't go to Zillow. Go to Facebook Marketplace. There are deals for land all over the place on Facebook Marketplace. People have such a hard time selling land because there's not a lot of buyers for it. There's just not a lot of people looking for land, that they're willing to sell it on payments. They'll do a seller financing deal. They'll give you a mortgage on it, and you can pay little by little. I know if I have to sell land, I'll sell land. I'll do a seller financing deal. I don't check for employment. I don't check for nothing. As long as you have a valid ID and we can sign this contract and get it notarized and get it registered at the county, we can do business. So there are some deals out there for land, and you don't even have to worry about applying for a loan. I don't even charge you interest when I sell land sometimes. I have in the past, but I don't always. Mainly, I almost never do, but sometimes I do. Um, but yeah, so those are the four tips right there. Just to recap, again, as always, if you've got land that you want to sell, please reach out 803-201-9137, palmettolandbuyers.com. Visit the website, submit your info. You can call me, you can submit your info, you can hit me up on the comment section, you can reach me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, however, LinkedIn. Just call me. My name is Joe Ortiz. Again, palmettolandbuyers.com. We are the premier land buyers in South Carolina. So if you've got land and you just can't move that thing, give me a call. I'll make you an offer. I can close tomorrow. You call me today, I can have money for you tomorrow. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.